AM 950 weather. I'm Patrick Lilia. Sunshine today with a high of 72, then tonight partly cloudy with a low of 48. Mavericks is an East Metro treasure that's known for their roast beef sandwiches, but there's so much more. Don't miss out on the fish, chicken, Philly steak, and so much more. Mavericks Real Roast Beef is located in Roseville, 1 mile south of Highway 36 on Lexington Avenue. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded. You're listening to a special live broadcast of The Gailey Show from Twin Cities Quorum's National Coming Out Day Luncheon from the Minneapolis Convention Center. This special broadcast airs from 10:30 until 11:30, where we'll then rejoin the Tom Hartman program already in progress.
Broadcasting from the Minneapolis Convention Center in beautiful downtown Minneapolis, this is The Gailey Show. Hey everyone, I am JP Darabagosian, the host of The Gailey Show, but joining me here today for this special broadcast is the host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, Andy Otto. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. It's National Coming Out Day.
I know. What better day to be out and about?
I know. So we have a beautiful show for y'all for over the next hour. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening today at the National Coming Out Day Luncheon. We will have folks coming up to the tables and sharing a little bit about their own coming out stories. We also have an interview with Daniela Carter, who's one of the featured speakers happening here today. And then we're also going to talk about the LGBTQ programming that you can participate in and join that happens every Saturday afternoon on AM 950 radio from 2 until 6 p.m. Also available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Yes, so exciting. I love that.
So I was doing a little research about National Coming Out Day and realized, I'm like, when did this actually start? And I did not realize it happened the year after the very first March on Washington.
I didn't know that either.
I know,
would
right?
have thought it was later than that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's actually the organization that started it eventually joined with the Human Rights Campaign.
Wow.
I know.
How did I not know that?
I know.
Yeah.
I was watching and I was like, I can't believe that I've never heard about that before. So this event is put on yearly, every October, with Quorum, who is our LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. We absolutely love Quorum. They do also monthly events. So this isn't their this is their major event they do every year, but they also have a lot of amazing events for local LGBTQ owned businesses in the Twin Cities. So they do like a monthly, we go out to the out after work.
The best
we do
ones.
that out after work. There is a young professionals event that also happens every month. And then there's also a monthly breakfast that they do as well, that they have on Friday mornings once a month. So if you are not a member of the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, Quorum, then you can go to their website, Quorum, Quorum, and learn all about that. And also, there are some really fun, there are some really fun organizations that are here today. The one I love, because I got some really interesting swag in the actual, in the marketplace, where there are a lot of different vendors, but there is a company called That One Painter, and they're giving out pens that are like paintbrushes.
I love that. Like,
know, right?
That's my new fascination right there.
And That One Painter is a queer-owned business that does house painting here in the Twin Cities. Also, shout out to US Bank, who I thought they gave me, I thought it was a highlighter, but actually it is a stain remover stick.
So I think I need to put a bunch of those at my table because it never fails that we all spill something on ourselves.
I know, right? Also here is Avenues for Youth. Queermunity is also here. Queermunity is the new LGBTQ center. It is opening the first week of November. Pre-opening events happening that first week, but then the grand opening on Saturday. And I see nodding right here is Alex. Alex, can you walk up to the microphone?
Yeah.
There's
Grab
the
it.
microphone right now.
Hello, everyone.
Alex,
Hi.
it works for Queermunity. So we're going to ask Alex to say a little bit about yourself, but also would you like to share a bit about your coming out story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am so happy to be here representing Queermunity. We are your new LGBTQ neighbor in Uptown, over on Lake Street between 31st Street and Lake Street. We are so happy to be opening our doors, and we invite you all to come out and be part of our Queermunity. And as I mentioned, my name's Alex. I'm originally from Honduras, so I have Honduran parents,
Awesome.
and I was born there. And coming out to them was not very easy, but anyone familiar with the show Degrassi? Anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like all versions of it.
All the versions of it, all the many versions
Many
of it,
versions, yeah.
right? So I was watching the show and I saw that, somebody had come out because they wanted their parents to know them fully, thoroughly. And I thought, that's a good idea to come out. I was 14 at the time. And so I decided I was going to tell my parents. My
At
dad
14?
at 14. At
Wow.
14.
Wow.
Now, my dad is a Navy man and is also a preacher.
Oh, boy.
And he took it as you would expect.
Oh, no.
And then my mom also took it quite hard, but our relationship has really blossomed lately. So shout out to my mom.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to mom.
I mean, at 14, I didn't come out to my Armenian family until I was 30.
I was 18.
I'm not joking. Like, I literally, it's a whole like thing in the Armenian community, but like a lot of Armenian folks don't come out until their 30s. So to come out at 14, like that's
I mean,
amazing.
that is amazing and admiring. So that's awesome.
I think there is something to be said about the further you are away from the gay meccas, LA, New York, Houston, the longer it takes you to come out. But these days, our youth are really coming out strong. They're coming. They have such self-knowledge, such self-awareness. So
that is something I hope we'll have amazing featured speakers here that will be talking today. But it's really interesting to me doing this show, shows actually that we produce here, is how the narrative of coming out has shifted.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like for boomers, for greatest generation, for Generation X, early millennials, coming out was seen as a political act, right? Like coming out was seen as something to help, foster rights, that visibility, act up, right, for AIDS activism.
Yep.
Now it is so interesting with Gen Z and Alpha, how the idea of coming out, they're like, well, wait, what does coming out mean? Like, they just are.
right.
Just
You know what
am
I mean?
who I am.
It's not something of like being in the closet and then having to come out. They're just out their entire lives. And so that whole narrative around coming out is really fascinating. And I hope that there are more intergenerational conversations, that happen, because I think there are, like me as, a late Xer, can really learn from that,
Yeah.
and then for, the other way around, right, as well. It's just really fascinating to watch that. Alex, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Coming
Yeah.
up to, we're
That's
going to have
amazing.
other folks that are walking up to the microphone. For folks who are tuning in and wondering, this person doesn't sound like Stephanie Miller. No, we are the Gailey Show broadcasting, rather, from the Minneapolis Convention Center. We're at the National Coming Out Day Luncheon, an annual event that celebrates coming out and that journey. I see someone walking up to the table. Who's going to join us? Dave. Hello.
None
Dave.
other than Dave Edwards.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself to our
so
listeners.
My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am the founder and owner of Gender Inclusive Schools, which is a consulting company that provides professional development and training for school staff in school communities across the country.
And you do so amazing at it.
Well, thank you.
I mean-
It's pretty fun.
Quick, tell us about your book that just came out.
Yeah, so in September, I have a book that's out called Gender Inclusive Schools, How to Affirm and Support Gender Expansive Students. And it's a teacher workbook that has lots of really practical information that folks can open it up and find out how to support students in affirming their name and pronouns, or their access to facilities, or responding to challenging questions about gender. So it's a really wonderful, I think, resource for teachers to be able to get gender expansive students what they need at school.
Such amazing work.
Mhm.
And also such important work, right, as well. And I think what I what I love what's happening politically right now is that Tim Walz, being the vice presidential candidate, is really showing people how Minnesota is doing it right. Like, not 100% right. I want to acknowledge that there's still challenges that we're working through.
Right.
But the fact that folks can see what we're doing in Minnesota. And so I'm assuming that you primarily work within schools in Minnesota.
No.
Actually, kind of interesting. I would say about a fifth of the work that I do is with Minnesota schools, but I work nationally. I've been in about, I think, 9 different states this back to school
Which
season.
states?
Oh, kind of all over. So at the end of the month, I'll be in Tucson, Arizona, and then I'm going to be in Champaign, Illinois. I've spent a lot of time in the Bay Area this year, and then also New York and New Jersey. So just kind of all over.
Love that.
Amazing.
Okay. Love that. But I wanted to hear a little bit about your own coming out story.
Yeah. So I don't have like a big coming out moment, I would say. I think I was kind of more open about my identity as an adult and really inspired even by my own children and their ability to be their true and authentic selves. So my daughter Hildy is a 14-year-old transgender girl, and she's pretty awesome and amazing. And I think, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been just kind of being open about the fact that I am a queer person, even if I'm in a straight passing relationship. My identity is still mine. It's kind of who you are, not who you're with.
Exactly.
I love that. It was like my kindergartner who just explained to her whole entire class what non-binary meant.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. And they were just like, okay, like
Yep.
it didn't matter. And I love it.
Yeah, and I think with the younger generations, we have a 9-year-old who we don't know anything about who she is or how she's going to identify, but she's also like pretty queer. And I think for her, her journey coming up, it's not going to be a big deal when she finally shares exactly how she defines herself. It's just going to be like, well, of course. And it's going to be almost like a non-event. And she's going to be able to just be her full authentic self with no kind of any other outside influence.
That whole generational shift of what coming out means. It's so fascinating. And I mean, for those of us who are not that generation, like, did you ever think that we would get to that moment
No.
where coming out, it doesn't necessarily have to be that political act?
Yeah, I
You
don't
know?
think so. And I was raised in a very conservative religious family. So I never had access to anyone who was living like a happy, healthy life as a queer person. And I knew if I expressed who I was growing up too, that I would be met with a lot of hostility, potentially conversion therapy. So I'm really excited about the difference I can make for my kids now, as opposed to when I was growing up.
Yeah, I love that so much. I had to come out twice. I came out as a lesbian, and then I had to come out as being trans.
Mhm.
And it wasn't easy either time to that. And so like I just look at these kids and they're just inspiring each and every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting how also the coming out journey and the education around that there isn't really, Dave, to your point, a single moment sometimes. There's sometimes it's just an evolution of, either a constant coming out, or as someone's identity shifts and change and who they understand themselves to be can shift and change, or also like relationship status. Like, I'm in a throuple, so I try to explain that to people. Like, it's a constant, like, I'm like, do I say partners? Do I say triad? Like, how do I, like, when I say like one of my partners, people just look at me like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? So it's really interesting how the coming out experience is for folks that are listening right now. I'm sure for queer folks that'll resonate with them, that it is an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
But for folks who are, straight and cis, they need to know, like, it isn't just a one-time deal.
Yeah. I think to a certain extent, and people don't like it when I say this, but I think everybody to a certain extent is very queer and fluid. Like, love who you love. Who cares what or who they are?
Yes.
Like, if you're happy and healthy, whether it's 2 partners, I don't care how many, like, or 1. I mean, as long as you're happy and you're healthy and you're being treated well, who cares? Like, heck, if I had another person to help me clean my house, that would be great.
Practical thing,
Right.
really.
That I didn't have to pay. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so much.
We are broadcasting live here, AM 950 KTNF, at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It is National Coming Out Day. We are going to sneak in a quick break here. And when we return, we're going to hear who just came up to the table here.
Ooh,
Seth. We're going to have Seth from Outfront, Minnesota joining us. So a quick break. We will be back. See you soon. Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. for a full hour celebrating LGBTQ stories, culture, and entertainment in Minnesota with This Queer Book Saved My Life and The Gaily Show. Can't catch the shows live? Then listen through your favorite podcasting app. Plus, you can watch The Gaily Show anytime on AM 950's YouTube channel or Facebook page. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com or am950radio.com. We'll see you Saturdays at 2 p.m. or anytime via podcast, YouTube, or Facebook.
This is Andy Addo, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we get to know Alexis and Dejan from Family Equality. They are planning a huge Midwest Family Fun weekend this October, and we'd like to share all the details with you. Pizza parties, donuts and drag, and making connections with other community families. That's all coming up this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 Radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Live from the National Coming Out Day Luncheon at the Minneapolis Convention Center in gorgeous downtown Minneapolis. It is a beautiful day out for coming out. This is The Gaily Show. I am your host, JP Derbegosi. I'm joined by the host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, Andy Otto. For folks that are just tuning in, no, this is not the Stephanie Miller Show, but you still got really funny gays and queers with you for the remainder of the hour. We are talking to folks who are coming up to the table and sharing a little bit about their coming out stories. So here we have Seth from Outfront, Minnesota. Seth, welcome to The Gaily Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How
We
are
love
you?
Seth.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce, and then a little bit about your coming out story.
Yeah, so my name is Seth. I work with Outfront Minnesota. We are the state's largest LGBTQ plus advocacy organization. So working closely with our Queer Caucus legislators at the state capitol, working with schools and GSAs across the state, supporting students and creating safe and welcoming school environments, as well as running our anti-violence helpline. So we're the only dedicated LGBTQ anti-violence program in the state. So Outfront has been around since 1987, and we're just really proud to continue that legacy of work here in the state of Minnesota with some really remarkable achievements just in these past couple of years.
And in that, how do people connect with the hotline?
We have a hotline phone number. So if I remember the number correctly, it's 800-800-0350. So if people need to reach out to any of our dedicated anti-violence support specialists, we are available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Unlike, it's not a direct service response, so we can't necessarily, provide immediate housing, but we support counseling and support services and network navigation. So connecting people to other resources and shelters and advocacy services that they might need.
Perfect.
Very important work.
So tell us a little bit about your coming out story, Seth.
Well, it's, I'm a pretty, quiet person, but, it was probably before the marriage amendment, and I came out late, so it wasn't during college or anything like that, but it was at the same time my twin sister was getting married. So I think, and it was just a really simple courthouse wedding, but I think it was during that process where you sort of heard, oh, in law, this is a heterosexual legal framework of the entire construct of marriage. And so I think it was at that time where I'm just like, okay, well, if it's not now, we gotta come out now and really start moving and amplifying and moving that marriage equality progress forward.
So did that then lead to your activism work and to ultimately Outfront?
No, I've just been in fundraising for about 15 years now, but working really closely now with our executive director, Kat Roan. We worked together at a prior employment. We both worked at Carleton College. And so when she became executive director, she invited me to throw my hat in the ring. So have been really excited to be with Outfront Minnesota now since 2023, and really learning a lot about the advocacy work here in the Twin Cities in particular.
Well, Seth, thank you for the work that you do, and the fundraising work, because that's super important. We love fundraisers. And thank you for joining us here on this special edition of The Gailey Show.
Thank you so much.
And hang in there as we get through November.
Yes, there are
Hang
a lot of ways to engage in the process. Feel free to visit us at outfront.org. See what some of the upcoming opportunities to engage in the election process will be in your community and throughout the state.
Get out and vote.
As we were saying earlier, like a lot of the National Coming Out Day luncheon was born out of that activism after the National March on Washington, and this is such a crucial election. So I do want to also say, like, early voting, the locations expand on October 18th. You do not have to wait until November 5th to vote. Get out and vote now. Make your voices heard. And this election is too close.
It is
too close to for comfort rather. And so if you can door knock, if you can phone bank, if you can write letters, go to Swing Left, anything that you can do volunteer wise to get involved with this campaign is really important. It's time, folks.
Yes, please get out and vote.
It is time. It's way too close. Well, we have another guest who is going to be joining us here on The Gailey Show. Roya? Hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your coming out story.
My name is Roya Multaji. I am a relational financial planner based in the Twin Cities. And my coming out story is I've had many actually, coming out to friends, coming out to family, my parents, work. So specifically related to work, I was 23 years old when I started my career. And for Christmas, my girlfriend at the time gave me a picture of the two of us that she wanted me to put out at my desk. And I did not want to. I was very nervous about that. Mm-hmm. And it hurt her feelings, had to have a whole thing about it. I eventually just put the picture out. I didn't say anything to any of my colleagues. But that is what paved the way for a conversation with my colleagues and ultimately with myself as well.
That's crazy. I think people don't think about having to come out at work. Like
not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depending on who you
lucky.
work for. Yeah, I mean, it is. Obviously, I work for a queer-focused organization, so it is what it is. But people don't think about that and what it means to have to come out at work.
Yeah. Yep. And right. So because I have clients, I have colleagues, at the time I had bosses. I work for myself now, but there are all these different cohorts of folks that you come out to. And likewise, my clients had to come out, didn't have to, but they did come out to me. And sometimes I had situations where that was a little awkward. Just to share a story, I was at someone's house who was a client. It was the first time I was meeting them, and it was a woman. I was having a conversation with her, and probably 15 minutes into our conversation, she called out to her partner who was in the bedroom, and she was like, "Hey, it's okay. You can come out here now." So she was really nervous about who was coming to her house and whether or not it was safe for her family to be out to me.
Wow.
That's crazy. Like, you don't think about it, but I mean, I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. And kudos to you for making them feel comfortable and for being authentically you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
I
too.
love that.
Thank you for joining us on The Gailey Show.
Yeah.
We have time for one more guest.
Oh, did we save the best for last? I'm a little bit biased.
Hannah.
You said it, not me.
I'm a little biased.
Aw.
Hello, Hannah. Welcome to The Gailey Show. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your coming out story.
Yeah, so my name is Hannah Edwards. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the director of a group called Transforming Families, and we are a peer-led support group for trans and non-binary youth and their caregivers and parents. We have meetings all across the metro. We've been in a group for about 13 years, but we just filed for our own nonprofit status.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so exciting. And so we're hoping to expand across the state. We're going to have a meeting in Mankato soon. And my coming out story is, roundabout. I came out in 6th grade and was told, well, that's not real. what does bi know? You just got to make a choice, right?
Oh,
And so I think I kind of tucked that in my back pocket for a long time. Both my husband and I identify as queer. We met in college and we both knew that about each other. And then we had a child, right? And she's 14 now and she's trans. And so when you have a trans child come out, you don't talk about your gender or sexuality in the public eye because people will start blaming you. And then we realized, what the heck?
yeah.
These people are all wrong anyway. We're just going to be openly ourselves. So we're kind of a big rainbow family.
You are. We got to talk to Dave earlier.
Aww.
And yes, you two are some of my most favorite people because I think what's really important is that you have always put kids first.
Absolutely.
And in a world where unfortunately they're getting kind of attacked, like
Right
you guys,
and left and all
yeah,
over. And
yeah.
it is so important because when you support LGBTQ plus kids, but trans and gender expansive kids especially, you get these beautiful, amazing people who contribute to society in such meaningful ways. And so we feel lucky to have trans kids in our life.
Absolutely. And it's, the politics of coming out, like the other side, the GOP, the MAGA folks use anti-trans legislation and anti-queer legislation as an organizing principle.
They do.
They
really
and so for
do.
folks that are wondering, like, why are we broadcasting live from National Coming Out Day Luncheon? Like, why is coming out a big deal? This is why coming out is a big deal. This is why we need to support the queer people in our lives and make this a priority because the other side is organizing about it. They're campaigning on it. They're filing court cases and they're coming for us. And so this is why we celebrate each other. This is why we support organizations like Transforming Families. How do folks connect with Transforming Families?
Yeah, so we have a website, tffmn.org. So if you go to tffmn.org, there's information about how to link up with our meetings or send an email if you have questions about resources. We also have social media, Transforming Families Minnesota on Facebook and Instagram. So we're having a gala on December 12th, just saying.
Really?
Anybody who wants to come, watch our social media for announcements.
Fantastic.
So excited for you all.
Well, Hannah,
so deserved.
Thank you for joining us on The Gailey Show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Hannah.
we are going to have a very special speaker after the break. I hope they're here. Daniela Carter is one of our featured speakers today at the luncheon. Daniela was featured in the GLAAD Media Award winning documentary Kokomo City. We are very lucky to have her here. We're really looking forward to that. There are other organizations that I want to shout out to who are here today. Claire Housing is here tabling today and is a sponsor for the Outfront Luncheon. Obviously, Outfront Minnesota. I said Outfront because I was looking at their stuff. Outfront Minnesota is here as well. Super amazing organization that helps us with that political agenda, helps us with that progressive agenda. And then this is something that I also love, the Eli Outfitting Company. They have an LGBTQ plus Boundary Waters canoe trip. Andy, you said you did this?
No, I love them. I've worked with them a couple times with Pride, and they are the most fantastic people. So I can only imagine what that trip is like.
So if you go to the EliOutfittingCompany.com, the Boundary Waters canoe trip, queer-led, is August 20th to the 24th, 2025. Never too soon to put that on your calendar.
I mean, and who doesn't want to go out to the Boundary Waters with a bunch of gay people?
I know, right?
I love it.
I know.
Yep.
So you are listening to a live broadcast of The Gailey Show. We are going to take a quick break here. We will be broadcasting through the first half hour of the Thom Hartmann Show as well. This is AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Quick break. We will see you really soon here. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
The Thom Hartmann Show. Now that's Smart Radio, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. It's the day after Milton in Florida.
We did not get the worst case scenario, but we did get hit. And we're going to have to work to bounce back.
Flooding is still an issue in many areas around Tampa. Governor Ron DeSantis says there is a lot of debris.
If you have debris interacting with power lines, don't mess with it. people will come and be able to get that handled.
DeSantis says he's worried about fatalities that can be prevented. Back-to-back hurricanes have reshaped the presidential race in the final stage. The AP's Sagar Magani reports the candidates are jumbling their schedules to address and assess the damage.
Kamala Harris is trying to use the storms as a chance to show bipartisan leadership, saying she's spoken with state and local leaders in affected states.
Both Republican and Democrat, to let them know we will be with you every step of the way as you recover.
While Donald Trump's ripped the federal response in GOP-dominated states like North Carolina.
They've let those people suffer unjustly.
Both Harris and President Biden have been calling out Trump and Republicans for spreading misinformation about the response.
Get a life, man. Help these people.
Meantime, the storms have also scrambled the voting process in some key areas. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A survey of female voters by KFF shows abortion has passed inflation to become the top issue in the presidential election for women younger than 30 since Kamala Harris replaced Joe Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket. Lebanon says an Israeli airstrike killed 2 Lebanese soldiers. It comes just hours after Israeli troops fired on the headquarters of the United Nations peacekeepers in southern Lebanon. Relatives of some of the 346 people who died in 2 crashes involving Boeing 737 MAX planes are in court. Their lawyers are asking a federal judge to throw out a plea agreement Boeing struck with federal prosecutors. This is AP News.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's the land of the free and the home of student drivers ready to back into your new fence at any given time. It's firing up a round of burgers and dogs on your rusty grill with a faulty gas line that engulfs your tool shed in flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates.
Theatre Latte Da's regional premiere of Scotland, PA has been extended. Don't miss what Broadway World hails as the perfect combination of comedy, horror, incredible music, and memorable performances. Directed by Broadway veterans Lonnie Price and Matt Cowart, running now through October 27th at the Ritz in Northeast Minneapolis. Tickets are available at latteda.org.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Did you know that we've been doing this show for 6 years on AM 950? And it's one of the only, I think it may be the only show about idealism in all of Radioland. And now the show's at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and still from 1 to 2 on Sundays. It'll be part of a new concept, a series of LGBTQ hosted shows and podcasts. Make sure to check it out.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Sunshine today with a high of 72, then tonight partly cloudy with a low of 48. Mavericks is an East Metro treasure that's known for their roast beef sandwiches, but there's so much more. Don't miss out on the fish, chicken, Philly steak, and so much more. Mavericks Real Roast Beef is located in Roseville, 1 mile south of Highway 36 on Lexington Avenue. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Welcome to The Gailey Show. I am your host, JP Derabagosian. If you are tuning in for the Tom Hartman Show, we will be rejoining regularly scheduled programming at 11:30. Right now, we are broadcasting live from the National Coming Out Day Luncheon at the Minneapolis Convention Center, presented and hosted, as always, by our amazing LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, Quorum. Joining me here is the host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified that airs every Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. and everywhere you get your podcast and on YouTube. It's in all the places, Andy.
It is all the places, which is great.
So we are going to be here for the next half hour. We're going to be talking with one of the featured speakers that will be talking today at the Coming Out Day Luncheon. We're also going to be talking about the LGBTQ programming that AM 950 offers every Saturday afternoon, how you can listen, and also how you can grow your business with AM 950. We are also featuring walk-ups. So we have folks walking up to the table, attendees here at the luncheon, who are sharing a little bit about their own coming out stories. And I see we have Ryan here from Reclaim. Hello, Ryan.
Hi there.
I love Reclaim.
We all love Reclaim. And Ryan.
So Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and part of your coming out story.
Yeah, sure. So I guess a little bit about me. I grew up in the Midwest, born and raised in Kansas, in a really small town. And then after high school, went to the West Coast, first in Seattle. That's where I went to college and lived for a number of years. And then lived in the Bay Area for a number of years. And then landed here in the Twin Cities just about 1 month before the pandemic. So been here about 4 years, but it's been a really great experience thus far. And have been at Reclaim for the majority of that. I joined Reclaim in the summer of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so a little bit about your coming out story.
Yeah. So, for me, I would say I started realizing, my sexuality middle school and in high school, but to be honest, was living in a small town, my high school class had only 67 people, so it was very small.
Oh, wow.
And really conservative, and I grew up with a conservative family. So honestly, at that time in life, I didn't really feel safe to come out, and didn't really feel safe to talk to anyone. And so I, for myself, kind of started that process a little bit later in my 20s. Through college, was able to get connected to a therapist to kind of process some of my own stuff. And then from there started my coming out journey with my friends and then family, coworkers, all of that. I would say like my mid 20s. So
thank you for sharing that. And you said for me a key word there, which is safety.
Yeah.
You know, it's a once I feel a queer person feels that level of safety, then the conversation is able to begin. Where I'm going with that is for folks, when someone comes out to you, I think that's something where you need to recognize that, okay, you have developed the relationship enough so that folks feel comfortable doing that. That person feels comfortable doing that. Like, don't say something like, oh, I knew all along. Right. Don't say stuff like that. Don't why did you take so long to tell me? It's not about you. You have put more into the relationship enough that folks feel safe with you to come out. And I think recognizing that advice that I would give to folks in their life. How do you see that coming out then, that idea of safety and the work that you do?
Yeah, so that is really, I think, the goal of Reclaim is to be a space to create that safety for young people. So we provide mental health care to youth ages 12 to 25. And that is a key focus of our therapists' work with young people, is to help them first develop that internal sense of safety and awareness and understanding of their identity, whether that's related to gender or sexuality, other mental health concerns they're navigating, and then supporting those youth in building that safety with friends, family, school, et cetera, to really build that network, to have that trust, to have that security, so that they can really lean into being their authentic selves.
How do they find you, Ryan?
Best way to find us is our website, which is www.reclaim.care. We have all of our information available. We have a direct link on our website where you can fill out to request services, to get connected to a therapist. You can refer yourself. Someone else can refer you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, all of those places as well. But best way to reach us is to go directly to our website.
And I think the best thing about you is if you can't afford it, that's okay.
Yes, we have a commitment to financial accessibility. So, if you have insurance, we can work with that. But if you don't have insurance, or if you have any sort of financial challenges, we can definitely meet you where you're at, including if that means not being able to pay anything, you'll still be able to work with us.
I love that about Reclaim. Taking care of people's mental health is so key, especially when we talk about coming out and all
Absolutely.
that fun stuff.
And for youth.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
wish that at 12,
Me
that I
too.
could have had a Reclaim, in my life. It wasn't until my mid to late 20s where I finally was able to just for myself get over the stigma that my own family, my conservative community had placed on, behavioral health support, mental health, getting that support. It has been transformational, right, for me. And it's something that I wish that I could have started as my own, and to your point, coming out journey at 12 years old, because that would have been so important, so healthy. So folks who are listening right now, if you have someone in your life that you feel could benefit from Reclaim, definitely connect them. They have been such an amazing part of our community. Ryan, thank you for the work that you do and for joining us on The Gailey Show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan. We love Ryan.
We've got some applause going on here at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Folks are still coming in here. We've got an amazing marketplace happening in the ballroom. The luncheon starts at 11:45. There are amazing vendors that you can check out that are tabling today, but also sponsors of Quorum. Quorum is our LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce here in the Twin Cities to support queer-owned businesses grow, connect, do their thing, be who they are. And one of the board members of Quorum is not looking at me right now.
It's not, but I'm going to call
Zaylor
him
has
out.
walked up to
Zaylor's-
the microphone.
Z, we're calling
And
you
Zaylor
out.
is also the author of Our Gay History in 50 States, board member of Quorum. Zaylor, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your work. You've got a lot that's going on. You kind of do all the things, but also maybe a little bit about Quorum. And then obviously I want to hear about your coming out story.
Perfect. Well, I'm an attorney. I have my own law firm, Zaylor Stoughton Associates, that focuses on employment law matters. I'm also a historian, so I wrote Our Gay History in 50 States, which highlights significant people, places, and queer facts on a state-by-state basis. I'm currently working on my second book, Our Black History in 50 States. And of course, a member of Quorum, which is the LGBTQ plus and allied Chamber of Commerce for Minnesota. Been a member for a long time and was excited to join the board.
You do so much. So
Like you,
well,
Andy.
talk to us about your coming out story, because you've got a good one. I've heard it. You've got a good one.
Well, okay, so there's like kind of two coming outs. So every time I went to come out to my mom, she would always catch me, like she knew what was coming, and she'd say something like, "It's your life, is your business." Right?
Yeah.
Just you live your life, do what you need to do, and like the implied part was like, so long as it doesn't negatively impact the family, right? We've since, and here I guess here's the other part. So not long after coming out, my mom and I used to always go to movies together, and we would always share popcorn and sodas. And the time after coming out, she wouldn't share a soda with me.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, newsflash! It doesn't. You can't catch gay. In case you're wondering.
But then this was also during like the height of HIV/AIDS. There's a lot of misinformation out there in regards to it. We've gotten way past that now, so there's that.
Have we gotten past misinformation though? As a
Oh
country?
no, I didn't say misinformation. My mom and I.
Pandemic
My
that
mom
happened
and
a
I.
few years
Yes.
ago, and apparently,
Yeah.
lots of misinformation around that.
Yeah.
True.
Taking the playbook from HIV/AIDS and just applying it.
Yeah.
In the 21st century.
But with my dad, I came out on Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah, it had like been brewing for a bit, and I was just like, it's time.
Here it is.
Yeah, and my dad was so my dad was a drill instructor in the Marines.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so the guy that's yelling in your face, "You're scum! Do 50 push-ups!" Like that was my dad.
Wow.
And so but it's all worked out. Now that was later. Okay, I was in college and all that kind of stuff when this happened.
Yeah.
Of course, it's always very nerve-wracking from that perspective because you don't know what they're going to do or say. But by then, I was already independent, so I didn't necessarily have to worry about getting kicked out or anything like that, like many people do.
Yeah. Or, like for me, I put a wall up because I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to be like, oh, okay, or they were going to be like, get away from me.
Right.
So, yep, you put the wall up, and when you're independent on your own, it makes a
little bit easier. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I am curious, since you're on the board of Quorum, and Quorum is hosting every year the National Coming Out Day Luncheon. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to put on this gorgeous event?
It takes an amazing team, right? And it's always interesting when you switch venues. We've switched venues over the years because the event's grown, so we needed more and more space. Trying to make sure that we have a great mix of folks to be able to share their different stories. We always have allies providing their story in regards to why it is that they're allies. I think that's an important factor, especially given the fact that, if all queer folks in the country were like, we want equal rights, will we get it? No. We need allies to be able to support that effort. Every social justice movement has needed allies in order to be able to make that success.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for us to be able to uplift and highlight the stories of why people are allies. Why do they choose to put their necks on the line, put their businesses on the line, all those different types of things.
I love how you put that, because one time I heard someone talking at a, I'm going to forget where it was, but they used the word accomplice.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that idea of, it's really easy to call yourself an ally, but not do anything. And so I love how accomplice, you're going in, you're putting something on the line of yourself, because we've got our lives on the line every day.
And a prime example of accomplices, if you think about the civil rights movement and you think about the freedom rides, you think about people sitting on the lunch counters, they were white accomplices there getting beat up, getting stuff thrown on them, getting arrested as well. And so this is part of the movement. This is part of moving forward and having that progress. So I think we have more allies now, and we keep building and building and building. And so having shows like yours, sharing our stories and stuff with folks that are out there, whether they be family members, community members, or the like, can join the movement.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I have to give a shout out to Rebecca, who's the ED of.
Oh, yes.
Rebecca is running around here like a chicken with her
Rebecca.
head cut off. Yeah, give Rebecca a round of applause.
In the room. There's applause happening in the room.
Yeah, she is not only an amazing human, but ensures that this day is incredibly important. And so I have to give her major props.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to skip out because our keynote speaker is calling me, so I'm going to get her so I can bring her to you.
Yes, please do. You are listening to the Gailey Show live broadcast from the National Coming Out Day Luncheon at the Minneapolis Convention Center. We are going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, our speakers en route. So hopefully she will be here, but we'll also be talking about how you can grow your business through the LGBTQ programs that we've got going on here at AM 950. So we'll see you soon. Quick break.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 Radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
This Halloween, Open Eye Theater cast a spell on audiences with Broomstick, starring Twin Cities' favorite Cheryl Willis in an electrifying solo performance as a village witch with dark secrets. Her haunting tale of love, loss, and hair-raising vengeance she wreaks upon those who have crossed her will leave you breathless. Laugh, scream, and experience a spine-tingling Halloween adventure. Broomstick is playing now through October 31st. Get tickets at openeyetheater.org.
This is Andy Addo, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we get to know Alexis and Dejan from Family Equality. They are planning a huge Midwest Family Fun Weekend this October, and we'd like to share all the details with you. Pizza parties, donuts and drag, and making connections with other community families. That's all coming up this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Did you know that we've been doing this show for 6 years on AM 950? And it's one of the only, I think it may be the only show about idealism in all of Radioland. And now the show's at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and still from 1 to 2 on Sundays. It'll be part of a new concept, a series of LGBTQ hosted shows and podcasts. Make sure to check it out.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the National Coming Out Day Luncheon. This is The Gailey Show. I am your host, JP Darbogosian. For folks that are tuning in for the Tom Hartman Show, that will start here in about 10 minutes. I do want to talk about, you just heard Ellie Krug. Ellie is joining us here. My co-host, Andy Otto, for the hour. Ellie Krug is here. Philip Anthony. We are the hosts of the LGBTQ afternoons from 2 until 6 p.m. And also these shows are available everywhere that you get your podcasts and on YouTube, because we have a YouTube channel. We do it in video as well. I'm just remembering there's a camera right there, so I guess I'm going to wave into the camera.
I forgot about that too.
But for folks, this event is put on by Quorum, which is the LGBTQ plus and allied Chamber of Commerce. And if you are someone that wants to connect with the queer community, if you want to grow your business with the queer community, we are here to help you do that. And so I want to turn it over to you, Ellie, and talk a little bit about your show.
Oh, well, thanks for that. My show, LE 2.0 Radio, has been airing now for 8 years.
Yes.
And the show is, as you heard in the promo a moment ago, certainly the only radio podcast show aimed at idealism and idealists, people trying to change the world, curated by a transgender human. That would be me. And we bring on people to the show who literally are trying to change the world, trying to make the world a better place, like Kathy Haing from the Lift Garage, who left her job as a social worker to become an auto mechanic, to create an auto mechanic garage to help people with, couldn't afford full rate for fixing their cars, and we highlight humans that are just trying to make a difference.
This is, we're in the middle of we're coming to the end of the election season. And if you're feeling like panicky or all the emotions, what I love about your show, Ellie, and why I like tuning in is that I'm like, I feel good again. You know what I mean? It's so nice to connect with people and know, okay, the world isn't a horrifying place, that there are people, there are idealists that are out there that are making a difference. I'm forgetting, and I got to make a quick announcement. AM 950 is giving away tickets to Harry's Situation by Alok. Alok is going to be at the Landmark Theater on October 23rd. You can sign up. Oh, there is our speaker. You can sign up for tickets here. And if you follow us on the Gailey Show Instagram page, we will be giving away those tickets. We'll be giving them away also during the Matt McNeil Show on Monday. I will be guest hosting. So in the 4 o'clock hour. So there's a lot of ways for us, follow us on Instagram at @the_Gailey Show. Join us on the Matt McNeil Show at 4 p.m. on Monday. Tickets for Alok on October 23rd. One of the featured speakers for National Coming Out Day Luncheon is Daniela Carter, who is just standing right there. Daniela, do you want to come up and stand at the microphone?
Hi, Daniela.
Hi, how are you?
My name is Philip Anthony. Nice to meet you. You're taking my spot for now here.
So hello, welcome to The Gailey Show, one of our featured speakers, and was also featured in the documentary Kokomo City, which just won the GLAAD Media Award, right, for Best Documentary this year. Very excited to have you not only here on The Gailey Show, but also as one of our featured speakers. So would you like to introduce yourself to our audience listening live at home and maybe give a little sneak peek of your talk today?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. And I am Daniela Carter, an activist, director, creative producer, and founder of Daniela's Guest Book. I'm based out of New York City. And a little glimpse into my story is that this journey of coming out as trans in New York 10 years ago, where language, right, wasn't so accessible, community wasn't so accessible. And so to even think that my journey from youth homelessness to being here is unimaginable. And to think in this political climate, we're telling trans youth that you can't become trans adults. So how can I become possible for other people in the sense of visibility, representation, if they're actively trying to legislate against our visibility? So it's always an honor to be in spaces where I'm welcome, but I'm reminded that I'm serving for the voiceless. And so I always feel welcomed and happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you do as a director, as a creative producer, and also, I mean, in starring in this documentary. I had read interviews that you had done where you said, doing Kokomo City felt like the first time or one of the times you could be real and be authentic. And that's a very intimate, a documentary. You're putting it all out there. So tell us about the work that you do and how that maybe translates into more intimate, comprehensive conversations of coming out.
So I think what most people don't know is that I actually started my journey in media with Laverne Cox, and it was for the Laverne Cox Presents the T Word. And I was 18 years old when I first told my story. And so from that moment of being platformed by her, kind of catapulted in the sense of being able to get more opportunities to share my story. But what most people didn't know is that I was still in survival. And so when Kokomo City came up, for me, it felt like it was an opportunity to really reclaim my story, right? And not just allow other institutions to frame it in a way where it's like, oh, she's persevered, when I'm still, unfortunately, in that moment, still having to navigate through survival tactics. And so I found the moment to be not revolutionary because of the stories we were telling, but because of the responsibility we had to create real, authentic representation of what it looks like for Black trans women, in particular, who engages in survival sex work. And so it was, I guess, the easiest thing to do, because I think that I want, trans people to know survival is not the only option in life. And so when transitioning into the director's role, I understood that responsibility of how we tell these stories, right? And it doesn't need to feel like so commercial. It needs to feel like the thing that resonates the most with people within communities that don't necessarily have an overwhelming level of visibility, right? Because what we know is that they say 1 in 5 people say that they still haven't met an actual trans person. And so
I'm sorry, that's funny. Like,
right?
we're everywhere.
And 20 years ago, that was the statistic for LGBTQ people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say LGBTQ, I didn't even have a concept of what it meant to be the T in LGBT, right? Because there wasn't a lot of spaces, that was inclusive of us. And so I find myself not only creating stories that young people need to see, but the older generation who refuses to accept us need to see as well. And so I'd like to create full scope conversations, right? And showing the adverse as well as the lived experience. Because that balance is something that I think oftentimes we don't get to see. Because if you don't have the language, you're labeled a bigot and then you're villainized.
Mm-hmm.
There's no safe space to engage, right, in these conversations. So I make sure I foster those spaces and foster those conversations so we can all grow, learn, and be in community together.
This is a shameless plug. I do want to say congratulations again on your GLAAD Media Award. We were actually in the back of the room because we were nominated for Best Podcast. So we saw you on stage when I was prepping for the interview. I was like, wait a minute, I know Danielle. You slayed, by the way, on the red carpet. It was epic. So congratulations on that. Real quick, how do folks connect with your work, watch your work? Like we want to, how do they do that?
So they can go to danielasguestbook.com to watch a lot of the curated films that I select every year, and that platform essentially helps give emerging artists the opportunity to connect with established individuals in the industry and foster mentor relationships, career opportunities, and so forth. And so I think that's one way. You can learn more about my project that I'm working on in the Midwest by also going to Daniela's Guestbook. And you can connect with me on social media, Daniela Carter. And honestly, anywhere you see the work being done around trans issues, I'm somewhere pretty close. So it's not that hard to find me.
I am so looking forward to listening to your speech here and your story here in a few minutes. But Daniela, thank you for joining us on The Gailey Show. We are coming to the end of our live broadcast. What I want to say again, AM 950 Radio is giving away tickets to Alok, who Harry Situation will be at the Landmark Theater on October 23rd. To sign up for those tickets, follow us on our Instagram page at @_Gailey Show, or you can join us on the Matt McNeil Show this upcoming Monday at 4 p.m. Andy, thank you for joining us here as well.
Thanks for having me.
Hosting. Yes. Ellie, thank you. We love your show. Everyone needs to check it out.
You're welcome. Thanks.
And
I love
Philip, we didn't get to Philip.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. We've got about
quick,
30 seconds. Yes, Philip hosts the Downright Upright Show, which airs on 5 p.m. Sorry, I just got a time cue there. But folks, thank you for tuning in. We are going to join the Tom Hartman program which is currently in progress here. So thank you for joining us for a special edition of the Gaily Show, live from the National Coming Out Day Luncheon at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Check out all of our programming at am950radio.com. Have a great day.
Bye.
Hey there, AM950 community. Join me, JP Derbogosian, every Saturday.